What's going on, everybody? Want to welcome y'all all to Time Out with Shaq, man. It's about to go down, man. I'm about to bring this special guest in on right now, so let me bring it in.
Hi,
Hey, what's going on?
how are you?
I'm doing good, man. It's an honor, man, to have a legend of your stature on my show, man. For the second season. You know what I'm saying? So, I want you to introduce yourself to everybody.
Well, thank you for having me and everyone. My name is Jessica Allen.
Oh, okay, so everybody that's tuning in, watching the show, if y'all got questions for Miss Allen, y'all can write them in the comment box. I'll post them to the screen, and we'll try to have an answer as timely as possible. But yeah, man, we gonna dig right in, man. How are you, your family holding up during this COVID?
It's crazy, crazy times, but we're getting through it. I guess one day at a time is really what all you can do, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so we gonna dive in, man, and just let the people that don't know you and some of the people that do know stuff about you that they never knew. But just let everybody know exactly where you from.
Okay, so I'm from Salem,
Hmm.
Connecticut. Went to
Hmm.
high school in New London, which is how you and I know each other.
Hmm.
Played ball there, played basketball there all 4 years, and went on. And I graduated in 2001 from New London High School and went on to play at the University of Pittsburgh, who at the time was formerly in the Big East Conference. So that was a great accomplishment that I had for sure.
Okay, so what is it like being from a town like Salem? Like you don't never heard of big time players coming out of Salem, and places like Old Saybrook, names like that. You hear people coming from like a Hartford or New London or Bridgeport, New Haven. But what was it like? What I'm saying, growing up. What I'm saying, in Salem and stuff like that.
Well, for me, I don't think it was even, I just lived here. I think everything that I did, because once I started to play ball, I did a lot of it, like a lot of my practicing, a lot of, everything that I did was outside of Salem. So
Uh-huh.
I don't know if anyone's familiar with St. Thomas More. It's a prep
Uh-huh.
school, all boys prep school in Oakdale. That's about 5 minutes from where I live. That's kind of where I spent all of my time, just, practicing, playing pickup games with the guys
Mhm,
there.
mhm,
And then, brought me to high school. So a lot of my basketball memories and kind of what brought me to where I became as far as with, in my college years had
mhm.
nothing really to do with Salem. I think it really had to do with New London. And that was a part of the reason why my father wanted me to go to New London, so I could get that exposure, so I could be around some really good ball players. Because in Salem at the time, there really wasn't much of that.
Okay. So at what point, what I'm saying, in your life did you know, like, what I'm saying, you wanted to play this game of basketball, you wanted to make it your career, your job, like, what I'm saying, like at what point, coming up did you say, hey, listen, this is what I want to do full time?
Well, I think it took some time. I think I was discovered by my AAU coach,
Hmm.
Lonnie Bailey, who
Hmm.
now lives in Oklahoma. He'd spotted me playing basketball when I was 11, and at the
Okay.
time I was terrible, terrible. I couldn't. I was fast as heck, but I couldn't make a basket to save my life.
Mm,
And he saw something in me, and from that point on, my parents got me in AAU. And I think once I started to really like, at that time around 12 years old, 13 years old, I was traveling to Oklahoma, Wisconsin, and all of these national tournaments. And then you start to see all these other players from across the country, and you're like, this is a big deal. And I actually enjoy it, and I'm pretty good. Um, and so once I kind of saw that, my father, I told my father that I was definitely serious about it, because to play AU, it's definitely a commitment on
mm,
your end as a player, but also your
yeah.
parents' end, or whoever's paying for you. So I wanted to make sure that was definitely something that I wanted to do, and I never, once I kind of went forward with it, I never looked back, and spent a lot of time working out and practicing and shooting when no one else was in the gym on holidays and all of that. And I think that's what, just kind of getting better within myself, made me realize, okay, this is something that I can definitely pursue. And once I hit about 13 or 14, I started getting letters from different schools, different colleges and
Mhm, mhm.
universities. So that was when I thought, okay, like I can see where this could go. And I just kept pursuing it.
So, so you say basically at the age of like around 11, whatever, that's when you gravitated to it. Cause most girls, coming up, they don't think basketball. They
Mhm.
like, they want to play with Barbies and,
Well,
dress up and
that was
dress
me.
up and things like that. They never was like, yo, listen, coming out the womb or anything like, listen, I'm trying to play football, basketball, baseball, like, you know what I'm saying? But nah, that was definitely cool. So who were like some of your, like people that you like looked up to as far as coming up in the basketball world and stuff like that, who you like said, hey, dang, like if she can do it or he can do it, like I think I can do this. Like who were some of them influences on you growing up?
Well, I think a couple people in my family were, for one, my father. He played collegiate football, and he was an
Hmm.
athlete, and he was the one that kind of pushed my brothers and I to, to pursue a sport and to work hard. So for him, it was definitely him for sure. And even though he never played basketball, I just had the most respect for him as an athlete. And in our house, he wouldn't not allow us to do a sport, so we didn't really have a choice. And then kind of as I got as I got older, my cousin is Nikisha Sales, and she played for UConn back when they went undefeated. So
Yeah.
definitely watching that team and going to the games and just seeing how they played and that competition and that level. That was definitely a team, and she was definitely a player that I always would look up to and aspired to want to be on that level.
Okay, so see that's a little fun fact right there.
Fun
See, I
fact,
never
Nikisha
knew,
Sales
that y'all was
is my
related.
cousin.
Listen,
Yes.
listen. I grew up, played against Brooke, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying, stuff like that, and know Nikisha on a personal level. I never knew that, you know what I'm saying. But I also want to give a big shout out to your pops, man, Mr. Allen, man. Like
Yes.
that was my guy, man. He the one who gave me my shot to go to high school when
Hmm.
nobody else wanted to do anything, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. He gave me opportunity, man. And every time I see him, man, I gotta praise him, man. That's my guy, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, you come from a good sportual, family. Was it always, did you guys like battle? You and your brothers, did y'all like battle
Yeah.
growing up and stuff like, hey, yo, listen, I'm better than you, no matter if I'm a girl or not. Like I'm a bust your butt. Like how was that growing up in the household?
Well, see, my brothers, Lou and Timmy, they played football, and I was the only basketball, person in the home. But what we did battle at was when it came time, because my father really pushed us to like just be in the best shape that we can. So we were at St. Thomas More at
Hmm.
5 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock on Christmas Day, working out, whether it was doing pull-ups off of the back of the rim, behind the hoop at St. Thomas More off the bleachers, or running up and down the track, or whatever he had us do. That was how we became competitive, just kind of amongst each other. And we all had that mentality and that drive to want to keep pushing each other. So even though we had our own individual sports, I mean, them both playing football and me basketball, just kind of as athletes, we pushed each other. So that was
Okay.
huge.
Okay. So coming up, playing AAU, what AAU team did you play for, and who were some of like the notable people that you played against during your time playing on the AAU circuit and stuff like that, and who would you say was like the toughest player you played against on AAU and the toughest team that you faced during AAU?
So I played for the Connecticut Storm, which I'm pretty sure that I know that they still an organization that still is
Hmm.
around. So shout outs to them. But that's kind of where it all began for me.
Hmm.
On my team, from the time I was 11 all the way up until before we went to college, I had Sayona Chapman, who played for
Yes.
NFA, who was,
Shout out to
when we
her.
played
Yes.
against New London, was our huge rival. And she ended up going to Rutgers, and then I think she ended up transferring to Virginia. I think the University of Virginia,
Hmm.
but I could be wrong. But she did play for Rutgers. So when she played against Rutgers, when I played at Pitt, I got to play against her. And then Krista Rappahan, she was a year younger than me. She played at NFA as well, and then
Hmm.
ended up going to Stanford. So
Okay.
those were two, And then I also had Caitlin Christ, who for she played for another D1 school. And then the teams that we played against. So when I was playing AAU, we played against we had many teams that we played against, but always in Pennsylvania, I felt like we had some of our toughest people that we played against. And Tanisha Wright, she played for, I believe it was the Philadelphia Bells out of
Mhm.
or no, I'm sorry, she played for a Pittsburgh team, and we used to play them all the time. She ended up going to Penn State, went to the WNBA, and now is an assistant coach in the league. So she was definitely one of those players that definitely that I, would always play against. And it's kind of interesting because when you start so young and they're young and you guys are playing against each other, that person's good. They know you're good, but you don't know how it's going to end up. And then you get to college and you're like, dang, I just played against you for 5 years in AAU.
Yeah.
So that was exciting. And then
Okay.
one of the things that I definitely got to see a lot of great players was in my junior year in high school. I was invited to go to the top 50 girls in the country camp, the Adidas.
Mhm.
So that was in Indiana. So when I went out there, I mean, I was seeing girls who were 16 years old dunking in the hoop. And I'm like,
Yeah,
dang.
yeah.
But all of them went on to play at college, whether it was Seton Hall or Tennessee, and then just being able to kind of watch and follow them, was amazing. So, I think having all those experiences when I was young, and being around all those people definitely was memorable for sure.
Oh nah, that's dope right there. That's dope. Your brother came on and said y'all used to bench press 135 for a hot minute together.
Which one? Louis or
Woo!
Timmy?
That's Timmy.
Oh goodness, yeah.
That's my guy right there. But so when it came time, for high school,
Hmm.
selection, what went into the selection as far as going to New London versus, some of the other various schools that are within like the ECC conference and stuff like that.
Well, I didn't, because I lived in Salem. Naturally, I was supposed to go to East Lyme. My
Okay.
father, as you know, he was the principal at New London at the time,
Hmm.
and he was good friends with the basketball coach, Mr. Johnson. So, when I was in the eighth grade, that was when I started actually going to the high school and
Hmm.
practicing with the team to kind of become familiar with them and everyone on there.
Hmm.
So at that point, it kind of just naturally fell into place. My father's there. I've already been acclimated to everyone that was there. You might as well just go.
Hmm.
Um, and he wanted me to go there. He liked, the school. Obviously, he believed in, what they were doing, and loved the girls that they had, the coach. And he wanted me to be a part of that program. And after meeting them and playing with them, when I was in the eighth grade, I felt comfortable. So going in there as a ninth grader, I already felt like I knew them. So that was a good thing that I was able to do. But I don't think there was ever a question of would I go to another school. That was already kind of set in stone
Okay.
by him.
Now you at New London, what I'm saying, New London is rich in basketball history.
Hmm.
What I'm saying? I mean, versus the more on the men's side than the women's side. Now, with the women in New London, I mean, like basically with the men on the men's side, you could come up with 10,000 names,
Right.
of players that went there. But the women, I mean, there was only maybe one woman that, when you say New London, all you hear about when I'm coming up and stuff, and she was actually my first coach who put the ball in my hands. That was Dawn Gittins. So you
Hmm.
never really heard of no other female playing
Right.
college ball, big time, this, that, whatever. What I'm saying? Then all of a sudden, what I'm saying, when it's all said and done, your name is etched in stone there as that when they solidified New London. Now I want to go to the 1997-98 girls team. Y'all, to me,
I was a
was
freshman.
like, I know y'all, but that team right there was like equivalent to the women's version of, what I'm saying, the Fab Five.
Yeah.
Like y'all had five legit tough girls, and then y'all had the role players. And y'all was coached by the late great Mr. Johnson. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? Like, what was it like playing with that team right there? You know what I'm saying? With all them girls that brought different things to the table and stuff like that. Like what was it like playing with them group of girls?
It was great. And we always, someone, Clara, I think, or Tamika had just posted a picture of that team, and to kind of think about those memories, it was great. I mean, they were all tough
Yeah.
right, in their own way. And so for me, coming from little old Salem, and I feel like, okay, I have some skills that I'm bringing to the team, but to see, Jasmine, Shakara, Clara, Tamika, Tit, Letitia, it's like, dang, these girls are good. And
Yeah.
to be a part of that, it was amazing. And tough at the same time, because, we pushed each other, and our coach pushed us. And unfortunately, we didn't get, I don't think, all the accolades that we should have.
Mhm.
Um, but it was definitely a great team.
Yeah, I mean, like you guys, like I said, you guys bought something that I ain't seen, and what I'm saying, growing up in New London, I mean, probably to this day, still, maybe besides the state championship team that they won with, but that team right there, I couldn't see a team touching that team. Like you guys bought it offensively, defensively, rebound, got at it, stuff like that. What did you think was the missing piece or the reasoning behind you guys not accomplishing that ultimate goal by putting that banner up in that gymnasium?
I mean, honestly, it's a long time ago to think the specifics about, why it didn't happen. And it was something that actually I thought about for a long time after, because it wasn't just that season, it was seasons after that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know. I mean, because we definitely had all the ingredients to make it to that point. Um, and I think for me, because at that time I was a freshman, so you don't realize, and I don't think, and I don't, and I don't think we realized how good we really were.
Hmm.
I think we all knew we had skills. I think we all knew we played well together. But sometimes when you're younger, you don't realize, like, we could really do this. And I don't think we had that. And whether it came from the coaching, whether it came from within ourselves, we had it, but we couldn't just put it all together to get to that point. And I
Hmm.
think, like, for New London, because like you said, there aren't, I mean, you can go down the list of men and guys that played, but for women, there isn't. And so for us, there was a lot riding on that. But I don't think I realized that until after, when I looked at, like, teams now, like in 2011, when they're winning championships and all that, and
Hmm. Hmm.
2012, and you're like, damn, that could have been us. and
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think and I think when you're younger, whatever it was, whether it was us, the coaches, or whatever, we didn't take that extra step to say we could do this. And we definitely could have, definitely, without a doubt. But
Yeah. And like you had, I mean, one of the, stellar career, toughest careers, as well as, versus on the men's side. Like what was that driving force that pushed you all them years, at New London to, eventually become the all-time leading scorer for the girls, what I'm saying? Just pushing you and stuff like that to be great, to land that Division 1 scholarship. What was that pushing point going through, the high school years and stuff like that?
the people around you, I mean, it's not something that, yeah, I could get 1,000 points in my junior
Hmm.
year,
Hmm.
but who's gonna give you the ball? Who's gonna make
Yeah.
sure they set the
Yeah.
screen for you to get open? Who's gonna help you when you fall? It's all the teammate, all of my teammates, all of my coaches,
Hmm.
saying, okay, we can do this. And it wasn't even about me, because honestly, I didn't realize how serious basketball was, as far as winning and losing, until I
Hmm.
got older, like college. I mean, it was important to me, and I look back on it, and it's like, yeah. But when you have people who are supporting you, when you have people who are rooting for you, cheering for you, I mean, I remember the game that I had that, when I could get the 1,000 points, I was getting the ball every play, just to shoot, to shoot, to shoot.
Uh-huh.
So when you have people who are in your corner, who are supporting you, that's how you do it. And I think New London, being such a small knit community, that's how it is in sports. I mean, even now, you look at it, and people, they're rooting for you. You know, they want you to succeed, and people take pride. Like if you're from New London and if you are part of that team, we want to be the best, you know, so you're going to have people helping you to get there.
Now, do you feel like when you left, said that despite not winning the title, did you feel like you left the benchmark for these girls that are there now, the ones that won the state championship? Did you feel like you yourself and the team that you had, y'all set the standard of what, what I'm saying, New London women's basketball was to be, since it was down for a long time and you guys brought it back to promise and stuff like that? And how did you feel about setting that benchmark for the up and coming ladies that are there?
I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. Absolutely. I mean, when Jada Lucas and all of those girls were, they're in high school, or even when they were in middle school, they were looking at us,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and I always want people who are younger to say, okay, I could be better. We could do more. And I
mm-hmm,
think we definitely set the benchmark for, wow, they made it this far, or she got 1,000 points as a junior. Let me see if I can beat that. Let me see where I can go. So I definitely think we set that, because for a while, like when I was coming to New London, I didn't know anyone that, I really didn't have anyone to, or a team to say, okay, this is what we want to push ourselves to do better. And I
mm-hmm,
think maybe that's why that was the missing piece that you had asked me before. So for them, they saw that. They saw, okay, look how far they've made it. Look what we have. I mean, growing those girls on that team, they had a lot of kids on their team that had all kinds of talents and skills. So
mm-hmm.
they had all of the ingredients like we did. And maybe that missing piece that we didn't have was seeing it. We didn't have anyone to identify with as far as from New London. They had it, and that's what they used to help, to use that kind of as leverage to get them to where they needed to be and to motivate them. So I'm glad that we could do that. And to this day, people still talk about our team, and kind of we were the first to kind of set that groundwork for all the other teams. So if we didn't win a state championship, well, you know New London's New London. The fact that they did in later years, I feel like that's still a win for us. And I think that we definitely pushed other people to see, and opened it up to see what they could possibly do.
And now, like I say, you played for, legendary coach, what I'm saying, in his own frame out in New London. When you speak of New London basketball, it's James Johnson,
Yep.
what I'm saying, and may rest in peace. What was it like, playing for a coach like that? I mean, because he was like a cool dude, but like he was intense, like Don Chaney type, like no, let's, what I mean, no nonsense type. I had the opportunity of playing for him for AAU and stuff like that. But what was it like, playing for him during the high school season, and what things did he instill in you to, get you to be, the athlete that you have become?
Well, I think he focused more on the team. He was very big on us playing together as a team, whether it was
Mm-hmm,
during the practices that we had after school, or whether it was on the weekend, whether it was going to camps. He was very big on the mentality of a team. So he saw us each individually, saw myself, and recognized my skills. But I would honestly have to say, so he was kind of obviously the head coach that saw us as a team. But
mm-hmm.
Linda Pfeiffer, who was our assistant coach the
Yep.
entire time I was there, saw us as individuals. And she was the one that would work with in addition to him, but really focus on us, really focus on me. Like, just, you need to be doing this, or let's work on this, let's do that. And so she kind of was like the detail person behind the big
Mm-hmm,
picture of everything. So I give her a ton of credit, because she saw things in me that I didn't even see in myself. And she wrote this poem for me when I got my 1,000 points, and that kind of reiterated how much she really cared about us as players, as people. So not to kind of minimize anything that Coach Johnson did, but sometimes it's the people behind the scenes, or who
mm-hmm,
aren't in the
mm-hmm.
forefront, the ones that really make that difference. And she was definitely one to support me. And even when I went to Pitt, she would come to my games and
Mhm.
support me. So um I have to give a lot of credit to her.
Yes, yes. Shout out to Coach Pfeiffer, and some, consider you, as the GOAT, like they say, the female LeBron, of this era,
In this era.
and you being the highest, college recruit to come out of New London women's basketball. Like, what was it like, what I'm saying, getting that, that offer from Pitt, and what was your final decision in picking Pittsburgh as the school that you was going to attend and play for?
um well, I think to, the reason why I chose Pitt was just, I mean, when you get to a certain point when you're getting looked at by schools at the time,
Hmm.
you go on different visits, you go on official
Hmm.
visits, unofficial visits, and kind of how I felt there. The same feeling that I felt at New London, that welcoming feeling that, okay, that the feeling by the coaches, that's what I got from, from Pitt. And so that was really the reason why I wanted to go there. And then at the time, the Big East Conference was the one of the biggest, best conferences in women's
Yeah,
basketball.
yeah.
So I was recruited by other schools like Virginia Tech, Villanova, Miami. um, but for some reason, just kind of how I felt there was what led me, and it's the same feeling that I had when I went to New London, because both places I was not from there, not from the area.
Hmm.
And I had to feel accepted. I had to feel like, okay, I feel a part of the team. And so the same way that I was embraced at New London, I was embraced at Pitt. And I think that was kind of the deciding factor for me.
So did you have time where you talked to your cousin Nikisha, and did you talk to her about what it was like to play in the Big East? Did she give you any pointers or anything like that? Did you watch film on her playing in the Big East to see how the Big East was and stuff like that?
I didn't get any pointers for her from her. If I, looking back on it, should I have, would I have, could I have? Yes, but I didn't. I think just watching UConn play in and
Uh,
of itself, you realize, okay, UConn's in my conference. This is Notre Dame is in my conference.
yeah.
Georgetown, like these are some legit teams. And at the time, if you feel like you gave it, like you're working hard and you're getting that opportunity, why not play for the best?
Hmm.
And so even though Pittsburgh, we didn't do that great, we didn't have, winning seasons, um, it was still the opportunity to play against the best and to be able to say that I played against the best and to play in
Hmm.
that conference. I
Hmm.
mean, that's an accomplishment that, no one can take from you. So and I didn't get any pointers from her, but definitely watching UConn. I mean, even to this day, when girls watch
Hmm.
UConn, that's the team that girls of all ages, and if they want to play ball, look at. Like, I want to be on that team or play, like some of the girls on that team.
Now, careers over at New London, you know, Pitt coming up, and I read had two surgeries before you even stepped on that pit floor. What was the injuries, and what was going through your mind? Did you feel like at a point where you was like, this is happening to me? Is this really for me? Is this a sign? Like, what was going through you at that moment in time? Because sometimes that could be a low point for you, or that could be like God's putting a hurdle in for you to get over it. Like, what was going through your mindset during that time in your life?
Well, my freshman year, preseason, we were playing pickup with my team during one of our off-season practices, and I
Hmm.
tore my right lateral meniscus, and had to, obviously be seen. And at that point, surgery was definitely that was what needed to happen.
Hmm.
We weren't sure of what kind of surgery I was going to need to have, whether it was going to be a repair or a removal.
Hmm.
Removal would lead to me being out the entire season. A repair would be out for a few months. After the surgery, I was told it was a removal, um, which meant I had to redshirt, and
Hmm.
it was hard and it was good because I'm not gonna lie, like going to Pitt. playing on that level, it's a whole nother beast than anything. I mean, before I even got to Pitt, we had a workout book, strength and conditioning, that was mailed to me my senior year going into college, that was about this thick. And it was like my workout Bible. And the way that they wanted us to work out, you never worked out like that before in your life. So when you get there and you see everyone and you're having 4-hour practices and your whole life is nothing but basketball, it's intense. And I don't think too many things in life prepare you for that. So it was a blessing and a curse all in one, because the blessing of it was I got to take that season back, observe, watch the girls on my team, watch how they practiced, watch how they played, got to kind of see, okay, what do I need to work on?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Train, work out myself, get myself ready. It was a curse because unfortunately, you know, basketball in, on that level is a business.
Yeah.
And I had a different coach at the end of my career who felt like, maybe I want to have my own players come in and I don't want these players that used to be
Mm-hmm.
here. So I didn't get to get that 4 years of playing at Pitt, unfortunately. Academically I did, which was great, but not athletically. So it definitely was a blessing that I got to see all of that, because when I came in my sophomore year, that was my best season. I went in there. I started many games. I was a sixth woman off the bench for some games as well, and I went in there as if I never missed a year. And I
Mm-hmm.
think kind of being able to take all that year in and kind of being more of a student of the game and kind of seeing, because I don't think anything that I had done really prepared myself for what it was really going to be like. And it was intimidating in some ways, because I was like, I don't know if I could do this. But I'm glad I had it. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to make up that year. That's not the norm for most people when they redshirt. But unfortunately, it was for me.
And so, what was it like to finally go up against the team that you once rooted for, UConn? What was that like? You know what I'm saying?
Scary as
Sold out
hell.
arena. You know what I'm saying? You out to play against the team that your cousin once played for and you rooted for and stuff like that. What was that feeling like? You know?
It wasn't just a feeling, it was multiple feelings that I had. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, whether we played home or we played at UConn, we never packed our stadium, but our field house. But when we
Uh-huh.
played UConn, oh, it was packed. When we went to UConn, it was packed. And the way you prepare, like for practice, you have a player that you're going to guard. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I had to play, I had to guard Diana Taurasi. Now I'm
Mm.
5'8", pushing it, with shoes on. She's about 6 feet.
Yep.
And I'm like, damn, I'm that's my assignment. So all in practice, because when you're getting ready to play them, when that's the next team that you're going to play every day in practice, that's what you're preparing for. So I'm preparing myself to, okay, how does she move? How does she turn? What is she going to do? So that's huge in and of itself. And then when you step on that court and you see every seat in that gym filled with someone, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then it's crazy because everyone in my family, they all, are UConn fans. They're a fan of me and obviously going to
Mm-hmm.
be a fan of Pitt. But trust and believe they were going there too, rooting for UConn. And just, it was just, I mean, it, it was like no other. Like to go into a place where there's 60, or 8,000 seats completely filled with fans. And you're like, wow. So whether you're winning or losing, it's still an honor and like wow to be on that court.
Mm-hmm.
We lost every time, obviously, by a lot, but it was the experience that I had doing that made it memorable.
Yeah, and I mean, you fared very well, in the Big East. Average about 8 points in 5 Big East conference games, shot 50%. Like, there's dudes in the NBA that don't even shoot 50%. So,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying, do that in a tough conference like that is crazy. Then you went and sometimes played multiple positions from guard to forward.
Mm-hmm.
So, you learned how to be multi-dimensional and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
did you have dreams, of playing in the WNBA, and do you feel like hey, if I didn't get hurt that freshman, like I could have, really started from the gate, or did you feel that was a setback to maybe, why you didn't get, because now while you sitting there's somebody that is taking your spot and is working to get there. Like how was your thought process through that whole thing?
Well, definitely my freshman and sophomore year at Pitt,
Hmm.
that was my focus, right? Because
Yep.
when you play ball, you always have a bigger
Hmm.
goal, right? Like
Hmm.
what's next. Um, but that was kind of taken from me, and it was taken from me by I feel like when my coach Tracy Waits and that coaching staff, the coaches that recruited me,
Hmm.
when they left, we got a new coaching staff in, and I didn't feel the same love, the same compassion that they had
Hmm.
for us as individuals and as a team. And when you're playing on that level, like when they're paying for you to go to school and they're paying 60 grand, they
Hmm.
own you. And
Yeah.
basketball, what like at New London and AU, that was fun, ha ha ha. It becomes your job. It
Yeah.
becomes it
Yeah.
it's
Definitely.
a all day, every day commitment, and it's hard. And so when you have someone like your coaching staff who aren't rooting for you the way that you're used to having coaches root for you and
Hmm.
having your back, the love kind of fades away, and it becomes more or less a job, exciting at times and
Hmm.
enjoyable, but is this something that I want to do for the rest of my life, or do I want to close this chapter and start another one? And that's kind of where when I got into my junior year, I really started to think that. And I had an opportunity, and I should have, and this is one of my biggest regrets,
Hmm.
transferring. And I was going to
Hmm.
transfer to Villanova,
Hmm.
and the coach and everyone was ready for me to go. But just kind of being young and okay, I got friends and everyone at school, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm used to being here. I don't want to switch. I didn't. And so I kind of at that point went through the motions, and I think that's one of my biggest regrets, because if I could have done it again, I definitely would have changed the narrative on how that ended, because
Hmm.
to work as hard as I did from 11 to 18 years old,
Yeah.
to get to college, to play really good my sophomore year, even my junior year, I did well, but to not have that same drive, like it's unfortunate,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, no one can take away your degree, and that's something that I'll always have,
Hmm.
but I definitely wish I could have changed that part around for sure, because I did see myself going to the WNBA. And when I look at people like those that are in the WNBA now and say I played with them and was right on their level.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how it be
I
all the
didn't get
time.
selected to
Yeah.
be the top 50 Adidas girls in the top 50 girls in the country and go to the Adidas camp for nothing. Like
Yeah.
that was all intentional. So I had everything that it took to get there, but if you don't have that intrinsic motivation, that drive, you're not. And so I started already focusing on life after college. What am I going to do? What, and that's kind of the path that I took. And a lot, honestly, I when I saw all the girls that were playing in the WNBA, the
Hmm.
time like when I could have been playing, I tried
Hmm.
not to watch because it was something that
Yeah.
it really
So.
bothered me.
Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, it be like that at sometimes, man. You get that and you seeing people playing and like, damn, like hold on. I used to kill him. You
Yes.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I used to kill her.
Yeah.
Like, how is she there and I'm not here? Like, you know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Like, I'm 10 times better than her. But,
Yeah.
sometimes, you look at it as like, hey, man, God got other plans for you, stuff like that. So you went from high school great, college graduate. Now you're
Mhm.
out, moms now, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. Got athletes in your family now of your own. So how is that been for you? And what things have you instilled in your kids, you know what I'm saying, to be great and reach for their goals and stuff?
Well, minus this season because of COVID, I think it's
Mm-hmm.
really kind of put a damper on how things normally are.
Mm-hmm.
But my sons have really, they just naturally like playing basketball. I think they're naturally good athletes, and
Okay.
I try to push what my father pushed in us into them, because that's something that, in order to be the best, in order to be a great, you have to do what no one else is doing. And
Mhm.
so, when my father would in eighth grade make me go to the gym at 5 in the morning, or if I had to shoot 1,000 shots and make them before I
Mhm.
could even leave the gym,
Yeah.
those were things and are things that I try to instill within my children. But also not to push them either, because I want them to do it because they want to do it, not do it because they feel like, oh, well, mom played basketball, we have to. I have a daughter who I thought, oh, well, I play basketball, she's going to play
Yeah,
basketball.
yeah,
And
yeah.
she didn't take a liking to it like I did it. And when you get to a certain age, it's like you either like it or you don't.
Yeah, yeah, it's either you do or
and
you don't, you know?
and when you like it, you push
Mhm.
to keep wanting to do more. And if you don't like it, you're not going to push yourself. So I had to recognize that. And I think as a parent, that's some of the, like, I feel like even now, like so many parents I see at New London, it's like they're living through their kids, like, oh, I want them to be like, but sometimes you have to do what they want to do. And
Yeah.
but don't get me wrong, when I see that my son has the skills to be good and to be
Mhm.
great, I'm going to push that, because I'm not
Yeah.
going to pass up on that opportunity.
So, did you ever, what I'm saying, have the idea if the option was presented to you to go back and coach your alma mater? Would you,
I did have it. I
you
did.
did,
When I moved back to Connecticut in 2011,
okay?
the athletic director from New London at the time asked me if I would coach, to be the head coach. And
And what
that was
happened?
the year the girls won the state championship.
What happened? Come
and
on.
and for me, I had 3 young children, and I think at that point in my life, mom was the hat that I wore primarily.
Uh-huh.
And I just couldn't I couldn't think, okay, how am I going to be a coach and a mom and work and do everything at the same time?
The same way the other coaches before you were moms, coaching, working.
And
You had to
I
put it
had just
down.
moved.
Oh man, I didn't know that. Oh man.
Yes.
If I would have
Yes.
known that, you would have been the head coach because I would have made sure of it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh,
oh man.
yes. I mean, it was he.
Wow.
I can't.
Wow.
It was 2011. I can't remember the AD's name. It will come to me, but he asked me many, many times, like, it's
Wow.
for you,
That
we
would have
want
been
you here.
something.
And don't get me wrong, I kind of like was like, dang, when they won the championship and all that, because that team, that squad was destined to win. Like, it wasn't a
Yeah.
matter of
And, 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 and with
if they
that
were gonna
and with
win.
that team, I mean you at the helm because the current coach there right now is like you remind me of her. Like, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like Millsap, like, I could just see like you would have been just like how she is.
Yeah,
Like, bringing them and it would have been a lot of banners hanging up there and
yeah.
on that ceiling and stuff like that. But I mean, like I say, you had a great career, you know what I'm saying? You're doing the mommy duties now. You know what I'm saying? And that's great, man. I mean, it's a great story in itself, you know what I'm saying, and a great book and stuff that could be written for all young girls to see. Young girl from Salem, Connecticut, you know what I'm saying? Coming to New London, setting the mark, stepping to stone. Your son's gonna grow up. Wow, mommy, like, you really was great. Like, they can understand it now, but they
Right.
not really gonna understand it till they get up there, like, wow, you was really, what I'm saying, something and stuff like that. And so now, how are you feeling? As far as we got a woman vice president now, in office. Like, what is your take on that? Being a woman, African American woman, whatever, what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Like, how do you feel about that finally happening? Do you feel now women are gonna have voices now in the world? Like, what is your take on all that?
Well, I feel like it's about time, for one.
Uh-huh.
I feel like, to be in the White House as a vice president, a president, a woman of color, that's huge. Like, that's something that anyone, to be a woman, period, you
Mm-hmm.
know, can all look at to say, okay, there is no limit as far as with what we could do. Um, So I think that's huge. One of the things that I was thinking for myself is that because I kind of changed hats as far as what I have done and kind of what I focus on in life.
Mhm.
My boyfriend at the time, he had said to me, you got all these pictures and everything upstairs in your weight in your workout room, but how come you don't ever talk about it? Like, how come you don't, like, if I were playing on your level, I would be talking about how great I was and kind of showing
Mhm.
that. And I think kind of like bringing it back to the whole, you know, um, vice president, is that I think for so many years, it wasn't that I wasn't proud of what I've done or
Mhm.
anything about myself, but you don't recognize that, or you don't maybe have someone like a woman who's become the vice
Mhm.
president to
Mhm.
say, no, you know what, I need to showcase this, I need to show that,
Yeah.
because there are other girls, there's my own kids can be like, you know what, like, look at this, like, she's not just a mom, she's not just like a mother, she's not just a career person, like, she actually, like, legit worked her ass off to
Mhm.
get to where she needed to be, the same way that Vice President Harris had to do as well. So I think seeing someone in that stature to say, okay, for any girl can say, okay, we could do this. Um, and that was what I think maybe have even inspired you to reach out to me for this interview, because for
Mhm.
so long, obviously you knew about me. And some people haven't, but I think for me to be able to say, okay, like, this is who I am, because honestly, basketball has been a huge part of my life,
Mhm. Mhm.
and everything that I've learned from that, because you don't just learn it, being on the court, but even what you take from being on the court, off the court, makes me a lot of who I am today. So,
Yeah, and you left a big legacy, what I'm saying, on the basketball community in New London. Because like I said, I mean, anywhere I go, what I'm saying, speak of that. Like I said, the New London girls basketball, your name's gonna pop in there. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you go to the men's side, you talk about New London. Oh, Tyson. Oh,
yep.
Chris Dunn. Like,
Yes.
your name is echelon in that realm
Mm-hmm.
of greats to come
Mm-hmm.
through that community that we both, are from, played for, stuff like that, and we don't get a
Mm-hmm.
lot of recognitions from versus the Hartfords, the East Harvard, Bridgeports, New Havens. Like, we had to really set ourselves apart. But when
Right.
they walk up in that gymnasium, they know what time it is, you know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
stuff like that against that green and gold. Um, so, and like I said, it's just been an honor, what I'm saying, to have a woman of your stature, what I'm saying, to come on the show and bless us with everything about you. So before we leave, I do this with all my guests. If
Okay.
you had to make the ultimate player to say, hey, I got to play one final game to save the world, and you had to make yourself take 5 players' abilities, it could be a male, female, people you played against. Take one ability from 5 different players to make that ultimate player. Who would the players be, and what ability would you take from them? From 5 people.
Whew. Well, all right. The first person and player that came to mind was Michael Jordan, and
Okay.
honestly, I would take every single ability he has, because
Okay.
he's
Okay.
been he's been great. He was definitely the greatest of all time, in my opinion. Um, for him, I would take his tenacity, the way he played on the
Okay.
court, um, the drive that he had. I that you don't not every player has that, and the drive to win. So I would take that from him. Um, I would go with LeBron, because LeBron had he has a scorer's mentality. Looking to whether him driving to the hole. I would take that from him. Kobe, another all time great. Um, his scoring ability that he had. Um, Gosh, this is tough. I got two more, huh?
Yeah,
Um,
two more. Two more.
but I'm gonna go with Diana Taurasi.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Because even though she was an opponent, she was one that I looked up to, and one of the things that I admired about her game was that she always wanted the ball in her hands,
Mm-hmm.
and she would do what she needed to do to get the ball in her hands, um, which then makes you a scorer,
Mm-hmm.
which then makes your team win. So I would take that from her. Um, Sue Bird, her ability to lead a team, to, as a point guard, that's your job, is to
Mm-hmm.
control the team, to control how the game goes. And so she was able to do that. And so to have that leadership um, skill, I would take from her.
Okay,
So those are
that's that's
my five.
that's very interesting. Three men, two women, and two of the toughest women. I mean, at the end of the day, Diana Taurasi probably, best women's player to,
Oh
lace
yes.
them up. And Sue Bird, I mean, she's just a champion. I
Yeah.
mean, wherever she's been, and you got Jordan, LeBron, and Kobe. I mean, whew, man, I think that might be the best my player created on my show. You know what I'm saying? I mean, wow, that is something remarkable. So, in closing, what would you like to leave all the young men, but especially the young women that are coming up in today's game, playing and stuff like that? What would you want to say to them to get themselves ready post COVID-19 and beyond? You know what I'm saying, to be successful and to be successful as you were and beyond. What message would you like to leave them with?
To do all that you need to do to be the best is you have to do what no one else is doing. So if you have practice from 5 to 7, Monday and Wednesday, you practice Monday through Friday on your own.
Mm,
You wake up early. What you dribble the balls at your house. If you don't have a court, you shoot the ball in your bed. You do more than the other people around you that are playing.
mhm.
Um, you make it a part of you, because the good that's what sets the great from the good, is going that extra mile. For me, it was shooting those 1,000 shots, making 1,000 shots before I could leave the gym, waking up at 5 a.m. That instills a drive in you like no other. And so, like I tell my kids, if you keep doing what everyone else is doing, you're not going to become better. You got to do more. And what is it that you can do to set you apart? And once you figure that out, and it's very easy to do, that's what makes you great.
Okay. Yes, man. I couldn't have said it any better. Saying, everybody, y'all heard it here first. We had the goatess. I'm not calling her the goat. She's the goat S. You know what I'm saying? Best come out of, New London, her Dawn Gittins, top two, in my opinion, to come out of there. She's had a great career. She's a mother now. And like I said, I just want to commend you, salute you on everything you've done, in the New London community basketball world. And, just keep doing what you're doing as far as, raising your kids into great kings and queens, and just be better, and hope everything goes well post COVID, and
Yeah,
hopefully come back on the show later on down the road, bring one of your kids on, like, hey, this is the new
there
one
you go.
right here.
There you go.
But once again, I appreciate you for taking the time out to come on the show and everything, and tell your family I said hey, tell
Will
pops,
do.
man, I
I will
miss him.
do. I
You know
will
what I'm
do.
saying? And and then I'm gonna talk to Brooke, man, and Keish, man. Like, hold on, man. I had a little cuz on the show, man. Y'all got to come on, So,
Yeah.
but nah, definitely, what I'm saying, commend you and everything you've done. So, and
Thank
we'll be
you.
talking soon.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes,
You
yes.
stay
All
safe.
right.
Take care.
Yes. See you later.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.